Stupid, dumb.
Okay, you can hear me. Sorry, I'm in a different setup and I don't have a camera today. But yes, I am here for the announcement. Let me just go check and make sure I've got everything punched up the right way. Yeah, looks like it. All right, sounds good. Everything looks normal. Hi, Lee. How are you? I'm sorry I'm so loud. I just am at a different location, so let me know if that's annoying. Thanks the other day for your super chat, Lee. I really appreciated that. That was really nice of you. You don't have to do that. But I really appreciate it. Oh, I should probably change the little subcategory here, huh? Well, I didn't have to do that. Boo-doo-doo-doo. Is that tune not catchy? Catchy, catchy, catchy. Let's see. Content warning. Well, actually, we don't really need that. No, we don't need it. We just don't need it. What's he gonna say? What's he gonna say that is gonna be so friggin' well, he could. I mean, anybody could do that. Hey to everyone on Twitter. I'm so glad you're here today. Hope you come to YouTube and join the smartest chat on the internet. The chat on the internet. Oh, thanks, Lee. You've been there since before the beginning. And I'm just always so grateful for you as a friend. And just that voice that says, keep going. Try again. And that's more precious than gold. So thank you for everything. But for those on Twitter, yeah, we snuck in the back door. Oh, Elmo, I'm sorry about your API, is it? I'm not really sure. What's that? I don't know what money is. I'm just a baby. Anyway, I know that Merrick Garland's going to be late, right? Like, we do know that. We get that Merrick Garland's going to be a late little... I just saw nothing about this, by the way. Is this something that was planned? I must not be on the distribution list for the DOJ. Actually, I am. Oh my God. Yeah, I get DOJ emails and all those thingabobbers. So yeah, that's a little shocking. But okay. All right. That's fine. Oh my God. You guys, I had so much fun playing the video game last night. It's called What Remains of Edith Finch. It's actually an older game, I realize now. It was gorgeous. It was rich in story. It was interesting. The story was interesting. Like, it was really well written, well voiced, acted. So I actually will be sharing my stream from last night because, frankly, it's a nice 2 hours if you want to put it in the background. I don't think it's too abrasive. And I think it's a really nice background. I'll link it by the end or something. I don't know. Eating lunch on the patio. 80 degrees. It is not even going to get to 80 this week here in Los Angeles, Lee. This week. I think this just popped up today. Oh, yeah. I wasn't aware of it either. You saw it on Twitter? I think I must have seen it on Twitter. Hi, easily distracted. Got my tomatoes, Brussels sprouts. Oh, Jesus. Oh, girl, that's fantastic. Congratulations. I am... you have out-Mondayed the Monday. You have owned Monday. Not made it your bitch, because, I don't want to say that anymore, but you have owned Monday. Owned Monday. And wanted to embrace Monday. And you embraced it, and you gave it a big bear hug, and out came a lot of productivity. Congratulations. Hi, butterflies. How are you? Hi, Tom. How are you? Sent you an email from LB. The butter churning show was great. Oh, man. It was so good. That was so much fun. I got to do more from the kitchen, right? Like, I got to do some more from the kitchen because that's really fun. Next is a blueberry bush. Oh. Do those grow as much as blackberry? Oh, here we go. I'm gonna mute.
Good afternoon. Thank you all for being here. Dangerous increase in violent threats against public servants, the ones who administer our elections. Those threats endanger our democracy itself. That is why over the past 3 years, we have accelerated our efforts to combat the increase in threats against election workers, officials, and volunteers that followed the 2020 election. Our Election Threats Task Force has secured the guilty plea of a man who threatened an election worker in Michigan. The defendant made vile threats, saying that the election worker deserved a, quote, throat to the knife. We secured a 3.5-year prison sentence for a man in Texas who threatened the lives of Arizona election officials and their children and advocated for a mass shooting of poll workers and election workers in precincts he believed had, quote, suspect results. We secured a 3.5-year prison sentence for a Massachusetts man for sending a bomb threat to an elections official in the Arizona Secretary of State's office. We secured a 2-year prison sentence for a man in Texas who threatened Georgia officials in the wake of the 2020 election, including threatening to, quote, put a bullet behind the ears of an election worker. And we secured a 2.5-year sentence in prison for an Iowa man who threatened to lynch an election official in Arizona. Each of these cases should serve as a warning. If you threaten to harm or kill an election worker, volunteer, or official, the Justice Department will find you, and we will hold you accountable. The public servants who administer our elections must be able to do their jobs without fearing for their safety or that of their families. We will aggressively investigate and prosecute those who threaten election workers. Protecting the right to vote was a founding purpose of the Justice Department. Today, fulfilling that charge means confronting the full range of threats to our elections. That includes continuing our work through this task force, our U.S. Attorney's offices, and our FBI offices across the country to investigate, disrupt, and combat unlawful threats against those who administer our elections. It includes the Civil Rights Division's essential work to enforce federal voting rights laws and to challenge discriminatory restrictions on access to the ballot. It includes the work of the Criminal Division's Public Integrity Section and our U.S. Attorney's offices to investigate and prosecute election crimes. And it includes our National Security Divisions and the FBI's work to protect our elections from national security threats, including malign foreign influence and cyber-enabled campaigns. The Justice Department recognizes the urgency of these threats, and we are prepared to confront them. We will continue to protect people's safety, and we will continue to protect our democracy. I want to close by expressing gratitude to the election workers across the country who ensure that the promise of our democracy is made real. I recognize that your work has become more difficult and dangerous these past few years. I also want to express my gratitude to the members of this task force and to its leader, John Keller, for your devotion to this critical mission. And I'm grateful, as always, to the brave men and women of the FBI for their work. And thank you also to the Postal Inspection Service and to the Department of Homeland Security, our partners in our efforts to protect elections and election workers. Together, we promise that the Justice Department will be relentless in defending the right to vote, and in defending the safety of the public servants who make voting possible. I'd now like to ask the Deputy Attorney General to say a few words.
Thank you, Mr. Attorney General, and good afternoon, everyone. The Department of Justice has no more important priority than keeping our communities safe, and that includes those who work to ensure we can exercise our basic rights, the most fundamental of which is the right to vote. It is, after all, the right that secures all our other rights. The Election Threats Task Force plays a key role in this mission, and it reflects the critical collaboration needed to combat threats to election officials. Together, you've all prosecuted a series of important and demanding cases, making clear that we will not tolerate threats to our democratic process and to the election workers who serve and safeguard it. A particularly disturbing trend across these cases is the way perpetrators use new technologies to mask their identities and communicate their threats. Not that long ago, when a criminal wanted to convey a threat, they only had a couple options: a pen and paper, maybe a telephone, later a text message or an email. But today, criminals use a range of anonymizing technologies, not just burner phones and social media, but onion routers, VoIP platforms, and overseas internet service providers. Now, this isn't just limited to threats to election workers. It extends to other crimes involving intimidation and hoaxes, like swatting. Now, some criminals may believe that these new technologies enable them to act with impunity, but they'd be wrong. Because as criminal tools get more sophisticated, so do our investigations. Working with experienced investigators at the FBI, the Department of Homeland Security, and the Postal Inspection Service, we're unmasking these criminals and holding them to account. Over the past several years, our democratic process and the public servants who protect it have been under attack like never before as threats evolve and spread. Today, those threats are being supercharged by advanced technologies, the most disruptive of which is artificial intelligence, emboldening those threatening election workers and the integrity of our elections. These advanced tools are providing new avenues for bad actors to hide their identities and obscure sources of violent threats. They're providing new avenues to misinform and threaten voters through deepfakes, spreading altered video or cloned audio, impersonating trusted voices. And they're providing new avenues to recruit and radicalize with incendiary social media content that accelerates online hate and harassment. As these crimes mutate with technology, they may be easier to hide and cheaper to perpetrate, but they are still crimes. Let me be clear. Violent threats using AI are still violent threats. So, in these cases, where threat actors use advanced technology, like artificial intelligence, to make their crimes more dangerous and more impactful, the Department of Justice will seek enhanced sentences. Election workers are on the front lines of this threat-accelerated landscape, and the Election Threats Task Force will continue to hold accountable those who threaten these public servants, their families, and the functioning of our democratic process. As I stated when we launched this task force nearly 3 years ago, a threat to any election official, worker, or volunteer is at bottom a threat to our democracy. I know the Election Threats Task Force is adapting to these threats and will meet these challenges head on. Thank you all once again for your tremendous work to protect our democracy and to keep election workers safe. Now I'll turn it to the FBI Director.
Thanks, Lisa. I want to thank the Attorney General and the Deputy Attorney General for bringing this group together and for your leadership with the Election Threats Task Force. I also want to thank everyone here today for the important work you do to protect our elections. Election workers, many of whom are volunteers and all of whom are public servants, are the lifeblood of our elections. from the local officials and employees who administer elections to the poll workers who staff voting sites on Election Day. Election workers play a critical role in ensuring all eligible citizens can freely exercise their fundamental right to vote, and they deserve our gratitude for that vital work. Unfortunately, too often, all across the country, election workers have instead faced threats in the run-up to and even after elections. So let me be clear, any threat of violence to an election official, volunteer, or staff is completely unacceptable and something the FBI takes very seriously. And we're committed to ensuring threats to election workers receive the swift and thorough response they deserve, whether that's through federal investigation and prosecution or a referral to our state and local partners. That commitment is reflected in the work of the Election Threats Task Force, where, working with our DOJ partners, we've recently secured more than a dozen convictions for threats specifically targeting election officials. The work the task force does builds on the efforts of election crime coordinators the FBI has had in place all across the country. For years, each of our 56 field offices has had election crimes coordinators, special agents, and intelligence analysts who stand ready to field threats if they arise and coordinate a response. When it comes to protecting elections, partnership and preparedness are key. So our election crimes coordinators work closely not just with operational and intelligence personnel at FBI headquarters, but also with state and local election officials.
Doesn't he always sound drunk? Just a little bit.
Partners. We're helping build resilience by sharing threat information, trends, and best practices based on our nationwide perspective. We're taking steps now to prepare for the full range of potential election threats and ensuring lines of communication are open so we can share threat information quickly. And when it comes to threats of violence, even though state and local law enforcement are the lead when it comes to physical security, we're committed to vigorously investigating and pursuing violations of federal law and to making sure all calls and reports of threats get to the right place. The work election workers do to ensure our elections are free and fair could not be more important. And we're committed to doing our part to make sure they can do that work free from threats of violence or intimidation. Thank you.
Oh, okay. I see how it is. Okay. Whatever. Sure. So, you're telling me that I think it is just I think it's a shot across the bow. Makes sense, Lee. Kind of remind people that they did something like this, that this task force still exists. I'm going to be honest. I don't recall seeing a lot of what I wonder what the output of the task force has been. I'm not saying there isn't any. I'm really not. But I just don't like Chris Wray, and I think that something's rotten in Denmark when it comes to how I understand, I read the story about Merrick Garland and that he opened the investigations day one or whatever, the speed at which he tried to bring cases forward. And I don't know. I'm not there, so I'm not gonna waste too much energy on that unless protesting it is going to make it go faster, which I don't think it is. But so, I always wondered if there was so much muck and mire within the departments, like the DOJ and the FBI and the Secret Service and, wherever, all throughout. Clearly, I mean, we had Jeff Clark as a fucking environmental lawyer. So clearly, weird motherfuckers made it in. And many were placed. And so I just wonder if that didn't serve as some kind of, Munchausen by proxy of, not that it's an illness, but more like, maybe it's like they were the poison pills. Not enough to totally kill anything, because they're stupid, but enough of them to slow shit down or to muck it up. Which we all know, working in semi-large or larger organizations, that's not an atypical scenario at all, is it? Not at all. Not at all. So I approach it with optimism and skepticism. I would love there to be a much more united voice on what has been done to secure elections, and the fact that, frankly, entertaining some of these arguments is purely feeding the beast. And the beast that's telling you these arguments is not interested in your truth. And I don't know how we deal with it, but I think there's a way to deal with it without totally losing all of our humanity. I'm just not sure what it is yet. Anyway, so thank you for coming to this very, very brief and surprise daily down Lolo. I'm going to go ahead and play the video one more time. It's a little bit of a punk vibe, so guard your ears if you know. But I will see you tonight, actually. I will see you tonight with the next few chapters of our book, The Ministry for the Future. So please stop by tonight. Thank you to everyone on Twitter. And of course, thank you to the most incredible and smartest and really loveliest chat on the internet. And that is here at Lolo's Lounge. I really do appreciate y'all. You're so smart and you're so kind and so supportive. So really appreciate you. So come on over, people from Twitter. Come on over to YouTube and join us. But here, I'll go ahead and play the video for you one more time. Hey, Paul, have a great day, everyone. I think you're awesome. All right, here we go. Bye.
Headlines and punchlines, it's daily double, but the news is never slow. Gotta break it down, yo. We dive into the madness with a fun rock vibe. Nothing's off limits. We're taking the ball for a ride. From politics to pop culture, we'll make you laugh and think. We bring the train, no censorship, no missing it with attitude and sass. We shake up the status quo, daily down low. The comedy news you gotta know. Daily down low. Breaking all the rules, spreading laughing like a bunch of crazy fools. We're punk rock rebels, turning heads into beats. So join the chaos and let the craziness begin.
Stupid, dumb.